evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. On Monday, in a significant move reflecting his government's commitment to the safety and prosperity of all, including minority communities in the country, Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in Christmas celebrations hosted by the Catholic Bishops' Conference of India. Now, the CBCI is the top body that looks at working of all Catholic churches in the country. 5 cardinals, the senior-most archbishop of India, and several prominent members of the Christian community were present at this event. Earlier this month, the Prime Minister not only sent a delegation to attend the consistory of Cardinal George Jacob Kuvadakat to the Vatican, he also joined Christmas celebrations at Union Minister George Kurian's residence, engaging with the Christian community there. In fact, Kuvadakat also travelled to New Delhi from the Vatican City for yesterday's event. Well, one sees this as a genuine outreach to a minority community by the Prime Minister of a diverse country. This is important because there is also a message of social harmony in there. But there have been some critiques too. A letter addressed to the CBCI, signed by nearly 200 people, said that inviting the Prime Minister to the Christmas reception ignores the plight of persecuted Christians. In fact, the Metropolitan Bishop of the Malankara Orthodox Church has also talked about recent incidents of vandalism in some churches. The Congress now has hit back, calling all of this a sham. Now, are these attempts to undermine a genuine outreach by the electoral head of the state to the Christian community? How does one look at the Prime Minister's engagement with Christians? He has been participating in such events for many years now. Is this an effort to facilitate a dialogue, a confidence-building measure, something that all leaders must be doing? Is this being vilified for no reason at all? Or should the BJP do more to address this? We will try unpacking all of that tonight. Let's first listen in to what the Congress leaders said.
I mean, whether the Prime Minister or any political leader, the word should come from the mind, heart. Your political calculation के लिए you people are doing this type of tamashas. Yesterday, okay, I agree. Yesterday's Honorable Prime Minister is talking about communal harmony in the Christmas celebration. But why don't you answer about the issue of Manipur? Today, discussion happened in Parliament. All the members mentioned about the Manipur issue. Why Prime Minister is not mentioning about the Manipur? These are things which has to be answered. This is very clear. These are all clear double standard way of BJP. And sir,
okay, joining me now is Charu Pragya of the BJP and Salem Dharanidharan of the DMK. We will also be joined by a political analyst soon. Thank you both of you for joining me on this broadcast. Charu Pragya, I start with you. Every time the Prime Minister or the BJP does something for the minorities, the opposition or critics in the community have pointed to either contradictions in the party's position, they've called it inadequate, or for that matter even an eyewash. You just saw what Mr. Venugopal said of the Congress party. Is there something that the BJP needs to do more with regard to this, or is it just the opposition trying to politicize a matter and vilify the Prime Minister when there's actually no need to do that?
Vasudha, good evening. The issue with the Indian opposition is that they feel they have some kind of a control over minorities in the country, because they have used different sections of society merely as a vote bank for the longest possible time. This divide and rule policy of the opposition is no longer working, and the proof of that is the fact that our Prime Minister Modi ji is the PM of this country for the 3rd time in a row. And since he came to office for the first time, we have gone by the motto of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Everybody comes together for the development of a nation, and India is a proof of that. When everyone comes together, a nation progresses, and all the data speaks in our favor, whether it is being the fastest growing economy in the world, whether it is becoming a country where more and more FDI comes in. Now, that being said, let me remind everyone that PM Modi has had visits from Christian dignitaries. He met Pope Francis. He's celebrated Christmas with members of the community since the time he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. There have been sections of the Christian community, leaders of the Christian community, religious leaders even, who have praised him, who have praised his outreach. And this is nothing new. Today, this fear-mongering by the opposition has reached new heights, and it's frankly sad that they have to resort to this. Let me also say one more thing. When we say Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, it doesn't mean that when you're pro-Hindu, you become anti-minority. This is some kind of a fake narrative that the opposition loves to float. And every single scheme for the minorities in this country applies to the Christians too. They are our brothers and sisters, and their welfare and their progress is extremely important. The country is celebrating Christmas. If you're a celebrating Christian, Merry Christmas. Your Prime Minister is wishing to celebrate with you, and I think that is fantastic. India is a secular country, and the opposition needs to swallow the bitter pill that every single section of society, every religion, every community has accepted PM Modi.
Selam Taranidharan, doesn't the opposition that often calls itself the custodian of the minority rights, why don't opposition parties in some ways welcome these gestures of the Prime Minister promoting engagement with minorities? Because this is, at the end of the day, driving the message of social harmony that is important for the country, isn't it?
See, there's no minority appeasement. I think it's the wrong term. Just that as politicians, as people in governance, as opposition party, it's our job to follow what is written in the constitution.
No, there's no appeasement. I didn't say appeasement. I say that the opposition often has shown itself as the custodian of rights.
I'm also answering the overall critique which the BJP makes, right? So we are just following the secularism content written in the constitution. And DMK stands also been that in administration, there should be no spirituality involved. So DMK as a party is not against any religion, but what we are against is bringing religion into politics. That's all we are against. So here, if the Prime Minister has actually wanted secularism in his governance, then I've been the most happiest person. My party would have been happy. The problem here is the hypocrisy, the vote bank politics, which is why I always tell the biggest threat to Hindus come from the BJP itself, for the simple reason, in Uttar Pradesh, people were massacred by affiliate organization of BJP or related organizations because on the pretext that he was carrying beef meat. Again, the same BJP chief minister in Goa participated in beef biryani festival because it's okay to eat beef and it will give them votes in Goa. So I think this is the problem. Because in Kerala, there is a significant Christian population, and to win elections, you need that Christian vote bank. Because of that, you're trying to pander to them. But I can write down a dozen.
There is no election in Kerala right now, right? See, apart from being a BJP leader, the Prime Minister is also the Prime Minister of the country. So shouldn't he be doing what he is doing? And that is a welcome gesture, isn't it?
Honestly, basically, I think someone from Kerala should have spoken this, representing one of those two parties. But let me answer also that question. See, because there is 3 communities there in Kerala, and BJP thinks that they can create a communal divide between the 2 minority communities in Kerala, and that's why they're pandering to one. But what happened in Orissa? One of the MP was suspected of killing Christian missionary workers. My colleague from the BJP, her colleague Sanjeev Verma, has accused me of being a pro-Christian. Though I am not. Even if I was, it's not a bad thing.
Okay, Charu, quickly respond to that. Is it okay to look at everything that the PM does from the political lens? Because a lot of it could be political, but some of it could also be, stemming from the fact that he is the Prime Minister of the country, and this is something that is necessary for him to also be seen as doing.
Unfortunately, Vasudha, I don't think my co-panelists bothered to listen to the fact that PM Modi has had outreaches to every religion, every community for the last 3 decades, nearly 3 decades. I'm talking about a huge career of his 3 terms as Chief Minister of Gujarat and now his 3rd term as Prime Minister. This is absolute bank politics. Bharatiya Janata Party does not indulge in vote bank politics like you do. As you rightly said, there are no elections currently in Kerala or even in Delhi, the percentage of Christians in Delhi is not going to be so massive. But I think one crown in the cap of BJP is the fact that we have had our governments in the states of the Northeast, and look at what is the Hindu population in that region. So this is not a prime minister.
Okay, before I go to Neerja, Charu, also this question
he's a
that
proud Hindu, but that doesn't mean he's not the PM of other people.
Okay, this question that has the BJP's Christian outreach faced a setback because of the management or mismanagement of violence in Manipur? Because that's a question that everybody is asking.
Asida, the situation in Manipur is not a religious clash, and I would encourage everyone to not pretend it is one. It is an ethnic clash, and if this was something new, I would have taken cognizance of it and I would have answered your question differently. But the fact is, problems in the Northeast have existed for I don't know, longer than I've been alive, frankly. APSA was introduced by Prime Minister Nehru in 1958. Why was it introduced if there was no problem? What is the current situation today? APSA has been withdrawn from most of the regions in the Northeast, barring only 9 districts. It is Congress CMs who had to make it stronger and tighter. It is BJP which got peace to the Northeast. So no, I'm sorry. The fact is that we are still winning elections there because we enjoy the trust of the people and they bless us with votes.
Okay, Salem Dharnidharan, quickly a point before I go to Neerja, ma'am.
I think I will make 2 points. First, on Manipur, how ironical is it? This is unprecedented violence in Manipur. A video of a girl being paraded naked came out when asked the chief minister belonging to BJP alliance says, oh, there are 100 such incidents, 1,000 such incidents. 100,000 people have been displaced, thousands have died.
Does that make it a religious clash?
This is normal incident. That's point number one.
Make it
point
a religious clash? It's a simple question. You are trying to paint everything in the colors of Hindus and Christians and Muslims.
No. Okay, let him finish. I'll come to you.
The Home Ministry's job it's written in the Constitution, which is a court of the Constitution, is to maintain law and order. The Union Minister's house there in Manipur has been destroyed. The sitting minister's house has been destroyed.
Was the law and order disturbed because of religious
so law and order is not maintained.
Neerja Chaudhary,
I know Neerja,
let me get one comment.
Please allow me to cut this in exactly 10 seconds, please.
Okay, let me make one comment from Neerja Chaudhary because she's been waiting for so long patiently. Ma'am, while it is true that minorities don't really vote for the BJP in large numbers in several states, there have been some turnarounds for the party, specifically Thrissur that we saw in Kerala. Politics aside, when you look at the optics of it, the Prime Minister sending a chadar to Ajmer Dargah or visiting a historic mosque in Egypt, making it a tradition to participate in Christmas celebrations. In fact, he also met Pope Francis and he invited him to India. How does all of that in some ways alter or improve the Prime Minister's image?
Well, how much it will improve the image amongst the minorities remains to be seen. But certainly it is a good sign that he goes and participates in a Christmas function. He's been invited by the Bishops' Conference. And obviously he's trying to, as you've said, reach out to the minority community. Certainly the Christians he's trying to reach out to. And when the minorities, both the Christians and Muslims, have felt aggrieved on many occasions that they are not treated as first-class citizens, then the Prime Minister of the country, if he reaches out to them, I would welcome it. I would certainly, it's not, it's the beginning of something, but he's obviously trying to give a reassuring signal to them. And let's see what it is followed up by. But at Christmas time, for the head of the country to want to give that signal, I think there's everything to welcome it rather than, of course, every politician does things for politics. There's no politician who doesn't have an eye on political gain. So it'd be naive to expect that, that they're doing it for charitable reasons. But having said that, a multi-faith country like ours, it's very important to be even-handed, for the leadership to be even-handed.
But politically, do you also think that the BJP leadership has a lot of balancing, act to play, because the core supporters of the party might not be completely in favor of what they would see as excessive minority engagement? Do you think that the Prime Minister also in some ways is sending out a message to his own supporters here?
Yes, and it could be because the Places of Worship Act, the surveys around it have been stayed by the court. Mohan Bhagwat, the head of the RSS, has spoken and said we must not look for temples under every mosque, that's not the way to go for a country like ours. Those are very strong words by Mohan Bhagwat. And then the Prime Minister, particularly this outreach to the Christians when extreme right groups have been active, whether it's in Sambal, whether it's in Ajmer Sharif. So I think, one will have to think about this. There is something coming, in terms of whether they'll be able to put down the extreme right groups.
Right.
But there seems to be an initiative by the ruling group,
right,
to send out a different signal.
Pragya, would you like to answer that? Do these incidents of violence that do erupt in our country often, like in several states, do that also in some ways, impact the kind of efforts that the Prime Minister has been making in reaching out to minorities?
Vasudha, I believe that nobody has felt safer in India than during this time. Because when I was younger and in Western Uttar Pradesh was where my family used to stay, I remember there used to be curfews because of religious clashes all the time. It was the norm, it was considered normal, but that situation doesn't exist in our country today. There is an overall feeling of well-being unless it is the opposition which steps in and does a lot of fear-mongering, which they're trying to do now. And this level of fear-mongering is frankly sad because my co-panelist again is trying to link Manipur violence also to a religious angle where none exists. So the fact is, even if there is an incident which is a terrible one, which needs to be looked into and resolved, it is unfair when people's religions are dragged into it, and it is only done on a one-way street. It doesn't go all around.
Okay, I'm giving the last word to Selam Tharanidharan. You heard the panelists. Now, does the opposition also need a rethink of its attacks on the BJP, calling it anti-minority? Because, the party does say that when it comes to welfare schemes, it doesn't show any bias. And the fact that Narendra Modi has come back to power for the third time.
The fact that after 11 years of this Prime Minister coming to power, we are having a discussion that he has made outreach in itself shows that he has never showed the outreach before, which is against the constitution, right? As a Prime Minister, he can't be Prime Minister for the Hindus, he has to be Prime Minister for people of this country. And we are a secular country. Point number one. The BJP spokesperson should go and listen to what all the BJP leaders have spoken against Christians and the Muslims, the minorities. For example, the same month when Narendra Modi met Pope Francis, right, uninvited him to India, Mohan Bhagwat, head of RSS, has said the biggest threat to Hindus come from religious conversions of Christian missionaries. The BJP MP, Bharat Singh, has said Christian missionaries are the biggest threat to India. And then attacks in Orissa, attacks in South Karnataka, attacks in Kerala, attacks in Goa, attacks, I can go on. And what happened in 2001? Under Prime Minister Modi, when he was Chief Minister, we all know what happened in Ahmedabad. And asked about that incident, he referred to certain sections as dogs, right?
Okay,
indirectly.
I'm completely out of time. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Thank you, Charu. Thank you, Selam Tharanidharan. And thank you, Neeja ma'am, for joining me on this broadcast. Also joining us now is Anup Anthony, who was present at the Christmas celebrations yesterday with the Prime Minister. He belongs to the BJP. Anup, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. My first question to you, how was the experience participating in Christmas celebrations with the Prime Minister? This was also at the CBCI office, which makes it all the more significant. Tell us about the important delegates who were present there. What are your takeaways?
It's the first time the Prime Minister of the country is visiting the headquarters of the CBCI. CBCI is the Catholic Bishop Council of India, which is the apex body of all the bishops of Catholic bishops of India. So it's the first time a Prime Minister is visiting, that too for the occasion of Christmas. So naturally, it's a great occasion for all of us. And in this meeting, and more interestingly, all the cardinals except one has attended this celebration yesterday with the Honorable Prime Minister. And it's a great pleasure that the newly appointed Cardinal George Jacob Kuakad, who is also working in the Secretariat of His Holiness the Pope Francis, he also traveled all the way from Vatican to Delhi to attend yesterday's celebration. And every important bishops from across India and every important representatives from across India participated in this celebration. And certainly, it's a great message and a great important occasions for every Christian from India. And that too, it's very important for all the Christians across the world, worldwide as well, because India is the largest democracy, and India is having the largest population. The Prime Minister of India, celebrating Christmas with the Christian community in India, it gives a message not only in India but worldwide.
Right. So this event was largely steered by the church clergy and also the Prime Minister, and understandably it was a nice gesture by the Prime Minister. But what does a common Christian feel about this? An ordinary member of the community, someone that we meet on the street, do they also see this move as reassuring and geared towards what we can see a consistent engagement with the community?
Certainly, in yesterday's meeting also, yesterday's celebration also, it was not just the clergy that was part of the celebration. The clergy was there, but 20% of the yesterday's gathering may be clergy, but 80% was people from different walks of life. They were common men, they were ordinary laymen, they were part of the laity. So they all were invited to this event. They interacted with the PM. So naturally, the Christian community at large, because I come from the Christian community, and I am also, I interact with a lot of people from the community across India, and they all express, their admiration, their support, and their hope in the Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi. So they all look up to him as a leader who is leading this nation, because the Christian community in India, they all attach themselves to this larger goal of Viksit Bharat. So they all think that we need a better country, we need a glorious country, and they all look to a glorious future. They are not tied up with the small fringe issues which political leaders and others throw up, but they all look up to an India which is glorious, which is developed in the future, and they all trust in Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And I can even say that they all only trust in Prime Minister Narendra Modi in delivering Viksit Bharat. I'll tell you an example. In Kerala, if you see, Thrissur is a Lok Sabha seat in which you have a sizable number of Christian population, and our MP, who he's a representative of Suresh Gopi, who is a representative of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He won with a large majority, and that was because of the support from ordinary Christians for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So there are many examples I can give on this.
Right. But Anup, in the same Kerala, the head of Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church has also pointed to what he calls contradictions in BJP's outreach to Christians. He says that on one hand, there's outreach by the Prime Minister, but there's also vandalism in some churches. He has specifically pointed to the recent incident of violence in Palakkad. How do you see that view?
See, our Union Minister, Sri George Kurian, has openly condemned this, whatever incident has happened yesterday. And the law has taken its action. And all perpetrators of such act, they have been condemned not only by our government, but also by our larger organizations, by the BJP. The state president has condemned it. Even the representatives of the RSS also has condemned it. So such kind of fringe elements acting on their own interest, taking up small issues and creating some kind of trouble in the society, they have been condemned altogether by the government, by the BJP, by the RSS also. So I don't think it will matter much for the relation building with the Christian community as such. So these incidents, and if you observe in the last few years, such incidents have come very little, and I believe certain sections of the opposition try to portray it into be a huge crisis or something for their political sake. But I believe the Christian community doesn't get away with all these kinds of misleading information and facts.
Right. Thank you, Anup Anthony of the BJP, for joining us on this broadcast. The Prime Minister took part in Christmas celebrations yesterday. That's all we have for you in this show. It's over to my colleague Vishnu Shaw.
Vasudha, thanks very much. Coming up on Left, Right and Centre in just a couple of moments, we've got a battle, a system versus superstar, a battle of egos which is taking place. I'm talking, of course, about Allu Arjun and the fact that he's been questioned by the police today once again. We've also got another important debate coming up on digital crime in India. A techie in Bengaluru gets rooked for nearly 12 crore rupees. Cyber fraud and cyber crime in India is something which is getting out of control. Just how bad is the problem? We'll be talking to those who've been duped of their funds and trying to find solutions for what is a real crisis.